Aaron Glenn is in his first training camp as head coach of the New York Jets. Of course, a former first-round pick of the Green and White back in 1994. This is his 29th training camp in the National Football League, and this is home. Recently, a number of AG's former teammates came out to practice. They took it all in, and then I had an opportunity to speak with Hall of Famer Kevin Mawai, Jason Fabini, Gerald Soule, and Adrian Morrell after practice. I think you're going to enjoy this roundtable.
We beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
Gets running loose. Can't wait.
Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride.
Official Jets Podcast is presented by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Shop game day ready jewelry styles and so much more at kendrascott.com. So, fellas, what was it like coming back today? Starting with you, Adrian.
Well, I enjoyed it. Aaron obviously is a guy that we grew up together as a Jet. Thinking about all those plans and desires to be champions, and to, see it come full circle is amazing.
Jay?
I agree. As a teammate with him, I actually was a teammate with him in Dallas too, I found out today.
You didn't remember that? I was wondering that when you were at the podium. You really don't remember that?
I vaguely did, and we verified it. But
Google.
Google.
Yeah.
But no, I think, and me and Kevin were talking earlier too. I mean, the guy's deserving. He put in his time. He started as a scout. He was a great player, kind of worked his way through, and what a career he's had. Coaching the last couple of years in Detroit's been awesome, and I can't wait to see what he does. Just his little speech out there to the team about, football is football. It hasn't changed over the years. You play the game, you play it the same way, and you got to have passion and desire. And I think I'm excited for the season.
Kev?
I'm exactly the same way. I was in the same draft class as Aaron. I played against him a couple times in college. Me at LSU, him at Texas A&M. So kind of crossed paths up until '98 when we were on the same team together. And just to watch how his professionalism in the locker room, how he prepared the game, how he played the game. And it was no surprise that whatever he did, he'd have success in it. But to know that he started off as a scout, worked his way up, he earned his right into the position of a head coach. And we're all excited for him. The excitement and the passion that he had out there. And he said it best, it's like there's talent everywhere. But the thing that separates the good teams from the great teams are those guys that figure out together how to get through the tough things when you have a slump or having a tough practice or whatever. And that it's about the guys. The plane can only fly, but it's the whole Top Gun Maverick thing is there's only so much that the plane can do, but the rest of it depends on the pilot. And it's kind of the same thing with the team. You have all this talent. And talent means nothing if you can't work together. So the culture of this program, being able to fight through tough stuff, the passion that he has for it because he owns it, because he helped build this franchise, somewhat. And so I think anytime you go back to coach somewhere you grew up in, it means a whole lot more than just another job.
Gerald, was this surreal at all for you being out there on the field and watching Aaron orchestrate things?
Oh, yeah. Actually, this is my first time here at Jets camp. It was great to see Aaron out there. As a teammate, he prepared himself in the same manner. He was always ready, always prepared. He did his due diligence, watched film, but he was a detail-oriented guy. And that's what he's trying to portray on those young men out there. Attention to details, that's the key.
Everybody who I talked to today has mentioned the huddle at the end of practice.
Oh, yeah. Were you out there?
No, from your vantage point, no, I wasn't out there, but I've heard from a number of people, it resonated.
Without a doubt. I think just by that, you can tell he's going to be a motivator of young men, and that's great. I think that's, you got to, you play for yourself, but you also got to play for your teammates. That's what it's about.
I think for me, I was somewhat in the coaching ranks for a few years, whether it be college or high school, pros. You just don't get that anymore from coaches in the huddle. Like it's all here. This is what's next for the day. Great day today, guys. We got to pick it up tomorrow. It was a lot of rah-rah type stuff. It wasn't like challenging your men to step up to the occasion. and he mentioned how difficult it was at 2-14 and 1-15 in '96 and '97 and '98. We go win the AFC Championship game, and we went like the next 3 years we're contenders. And but to have that passion and how he showed it in that huddle at the end of practice, you just don't see that in the game with coaches speaking to their players with that kind of passion as much anymore. And that's what was kind of nice.
And even, I don't mean to cut you off, Kev, but even like in the drills when we were standing behind watching the offensive huddle, he was on guys, on coaches. Hey, coaches, you got to coach your guys. You guys, yeah.
Right. Like, and I think he's got some of those traits from some of the people that coached him or coached us, I would say.
Yeah.
His attention to detail, like everyone's speaking about, it's there. And you can tell he's demanding his coaches to do the same thing. Everybody is about the details and getting the job done. And I think that from what we've seen today, the team's bought into it. And now they got to continue to go and develop. But I think that this team is going to be something to deal with this year.
Gerald, can you speak to the buy-in? Did you see that as well?
Oh, yeah. I understand it. It will be a process. It's definitely a process that has to occur. But what he's doing, he's just laying down the foundation that the guys, have to follow. If you're not mentally tough and disciplined, you're not going to win many games. And that's what he's stressing out there today. So at the end of the day, if you got a leader that believes in that and he believes in you as a player, the players will do anything for you.
Can I just add one more thing about like his staff? He's got guys like Steve Wilkes on his staff, and I didn't know that until I saw him out there today. I'm from Charlotte, and I'm seeing some of these Charlotteans sitting out here, and I'm like, man, like he's got guys that think like him too. That's on his staff. Like Steve Wilkes is not gonna. He's gonna challenge them.
Yeah.
And I think it's from the top down, it's the challenge that Aaron wants to have on his staff first. That trickles down to the rest of the team too. I want to make sure I mention that.
Adrian, I think that's a great point because I think he's not only going to challenge the players here, he's going to challenge his staff, right, Jay?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think that's what it's about. I think, I'm just looking at the offensive line. Me and Kevin were looking at that. And I think, God, the future there, you got all these young guys, young, talented guys. They all looked, we and Kevin were talking about how big they were and slender, and you were talking about their ankles and all kinds of stuff. But
what do we got to know about their ankles?
Well, you don't want guys with ankles, man.
Yeah, he was
fat
like,
ankle guys can't bend.
I didn't even know that.
Bro.
But no, I think the foundation for the the offense, as kind of the offense or the team goes, is how you do up front on both sides of the ball. And I think there's a bright future on the offensive side of the ball with the line. I mean, you got some young guys there, the tackles. You got Joe, and who's the right guard, Vera Tucker.
Yeah, Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yeah,
you got John Simpson who didn't practice today. You got a young left tackle in Olu Fashanu. You drafted Armand Membu. Yeah.
But let's talk about those running backs too.
All right, let's
what do
go.
you guys think about those guys? I mean, I think it's definitely a 1-2 punch, which I think Aaron wants that to be a part of his DNA. Because
it feels like a 1-2-3 actually.
That's why, I think you're right, Eric. I think there's another guy in that stable that's going to get some time, and I think he brings a different element to the run game. And I think I'm excited to just kind of see them get on the field and like really get after it.
I want to go back to like you talking about the coaching staff and stuff, and where some of the stuff you see in Aaron that echoes with coaches. And I see a lot of Bill Parcells in them, because Parcells was the kind of coach. These are the expectations for players and coaches, and there's nothing less of anything short of those expectations aren't good enough. Yeah. And we've seen Parcells hold his coaches accountable in ways that people would. I know what you're thinking. Offense runs off sides, blows whistles. We all got to run in the bubble, including the coaching staff. And coaches like coach, you guys are the ones responsible for this. You go take a run too. Which is kind of funny, but you see that in him, because a lot of times he's like, well, my position coach is going to handle it in the meeting room. No, we're going to handle it out here. We just let it all out. Everybody's going to see our dirty laundry. Right. And sometimes that's a lot of times in this generation of kids, and I say kids because these guys are 20s and 30s, that they haven't been brought up that way. You don't get called out anymore, stuff like that. Well, we all grew up with And Parcells just tell you in front of the team, Kevin, you suck today. You know, and then what are you gonna do about tomorrow? And you're just like, and here's the thing.
Well, that's
about
what
it.
I was gonna ask
But you respected him so much. You felt bad because you let him down. And when you have a head coach that, one, you know cares about you, two, is passionate about the pro. It's not just a job for him. Aaron's passionate about this. You can see it out there.
Yeah.
When you see that your coaches got that buy-in, man, I'll lay down everything for this dude. Right? And we all talk about, we're sitting there, man, look at we got chicken skins. You know, that's what we call it in Hawaii, chicken skins. You know, but we all get goosebumps because Aaron's like, man, when's the last time you heard a coach talk to his players like that?
Right.
You know, and it's like, and it's been a long time, but that's, for me, I see that, it's like, that's Parcells all the way. That's 100% Parcells. You know, and Parcells didn't yell and scream. He stayed in your ear and chirped the whole time. But when it comes to holding yourself to a higher standard and holding everybody around you to that standard, then great things happen. And that's how they go from 1-15 in 95 to playing in the AFC Championship in 98. It took a 3-year turnaround. Now, I don't think it's going to take Aaron that long. I really don't. No. You get the O-line in sync, the running backs look good. I don't know a lot about the defense.
We got receivers.
You know, and then you go Justin Fields, if he's the guy. Yeah. And even if he's not, as long as you got a great offensive line that can protect him, run the football, and it opens up your whole offense, then hey, you know. But I'm excited about where the future is for this.
Kevin and I were talking. All of us were talking earlier, and Kevin was just mentioning that transition from when we were 1-15 to 9-7. Right. The first year Parcells came in, to them, you know, going 13-3 the following year. And we were talking about the offensive line.
Oh, yeah, that's a good story.
So that 9-7 year, remember, Gerald? We were so we lost to Detroit the last game of the year. So it was an incredible game. Like, guys got hurt, very seriously hurt out there, and then legs broke, and then Barry still goes for 2,000, right? Yep. But I'll never forget this. Me and Bill was walking out of the tunnel after the game. I was a little bit ahead of him. And he calls me by my nickname, calls me AD. And I stop, I slow down, and he says, I'm going to get you some offensive linemen next year. You know what I mean? Unfortunately for me, he got those guys.
That's what I was going to say. You weren't there in 98.
No, he left. We just talking about it. Training camp. We were in mini camp together, 98 mini camp. And it was because it's him and Neil O'Donnell were there. And so Curtis comes in, Neil O'Donnell's out, and then later in the summer we signed Vinny. And then changed the whole dynamic of the offense. But I was brought in because I don't know if it was a ploy by Parcells at the time. Because when I was at the New York Jets or the Giants, he goes, I knew I'd have a good team. He said, but not until I found the center that I needed where we're going to win Super. Yep. He gets Bart Oates and they win 2 Super Bowls. So he reaches back behind his desk, grabs a binder, and said, this is my top 10 things I need for this offseason. And the number one thing was a center. I'm like, sold. The guy's so put together, sold. And then we draft Jason in that year. And then we brought in Curtis Martin, and then Vinny comes in, takes over the quarterback.
We brought in Todd Berger, too.
We brought in Todd Berger from where he came from, Chicago, I think. And then on top of that, we bring in Keith Byers from Philly, or wherever he was at the time, Brian Cox on defense. Yes. Yeah. And we just started stacking chips. So we started railing them off one at a time. And then, unfortunately, we lost. John Elway had the game of his life in the AFC Championship game. But that's where it that shows you how quickly things can turn around when you put the right pieces in the puzzle.
Yeah. And you believe.
So I think that what I seen out there from an offensive line standpoint, they got depth, and these guys are young, and they hungry. And hungry. Let's not forget that.
When you're young, you're hungry, right?
Right. So this is going to be interesting.
New York Jets mini plans are on sale now. Lock in the same great seats for 4 matchups at MetLife Stadium. Plus, receive exciting benefits. Packages start at $156 per seat. Buy now at nyjets.com/miniplans. Gerald, what's that actually like, going from a team here and then taking those next steps and ultimately getting there? You guys didn't get to the ultimate mountaintop,
close,
but
son of a gun.
You flipped it.
You flipped.
How was that as a player, that experience?
It felt good. I came in 97, so I was at the start of the turnaround. I didn't experience the 1-15 the year before, but being with Parcells the first year, That was the best thing that could have ever happened to me as a player, getting that foundation laid early on, and I could be as high as I want to. But believing in him was an easy task. You don't have to hesitate to do that. We'll do anything he would say, but he said, because his system works. It always does. So we were bought in from the beginning, and if you didn't buy in, you made sure you got people that came.
If you got bid in, you got shipped out.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the
Yes.
that's kind of the thing, though. He ran it his way, and if you didn't buy in, you weren't here, and
Right.
Maybe that's sometimes I think get away from that a little bit in coaching these days. It's kind of
Try to recoup our investment.
yeah,
How
or
about you cut your losses and go get somebody who's willing to do the job?
I wouldn't use the word baby people, but I think there's coaching's different. It definitely is. The way everything is it's different.
But don't you think that the Aaron that you guys know, that you saw out there today, is going to be able to coach differently than anybody now in the league?
I think he's putting. I mean, the way he's starting out, you put your mold on the team, and that's what is expected.
Yeah, because if you look at his previous team with Detroit, there was a standard that those guys were developing, and that was a part of his stamp too. That defense was all his footprint all over that, and that's the instilled mentality that is breeds successul football, and that's the foundation that he's setting forth.
Well,
now.
I say like Dan Campbell in the locker room. He's just a workhorse, old school football player who wants to just go get it and whatever. And you've seen his speeches, and he's a dude's dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and that's what, and that's kind of what Aaron is. He's a cornerback, but he's a dude. He's a dude's dude. And you see that. But like that. You can't go to Detroit and not have some kind of attitude about it to turn that place around as bad as it was for the years that they were bad.
Right.
And for them to go and do what they did there, and Aaron being a big part of that because he's on the defense, he's going to bring that mentality here to the New York Jets, which is perfect for the fan base, because it's always been my belief the New York fan base is like a blue collar fan base.
Yeah,
100%. You take the financial elites and all them people that work down Wall Street, and they're on the Giant side. But the guys that laid the steel, the concrete, the ones that are grunting in the street, and whatever, that's the New York fan base. Yeah. And that's kind of the mentality that I feel like he had in Detroit, and I saw him as the coordinator in Detroit that he is now bringing here. And that's really how we won games when the Jets made that turnaround from 97 to 98, and then we went on to have 8. We were together 8 years where we won.
We came close, man.
4 division titles in 8 years.
A couple field goals.
And that kind of stuff. So, I can't tell you how excited I am about it. And now that I'm not in the coaching ranks and I have the availability, I'm like, man, let me read every article I can, find out what's going on with the Jets. I want to know what's going on with their offensive line, and I'm excited to see what's going on with Joe Tippmann and Myers and see how that plays out, and the new tackle and Justin Fields coming in, and can he be the guy that everybody thought he was when he was with the Bears, and the dynamic that he can bring here. And I don't know a lot about defense. I really don't. I don't know who the guys are, but other than
Sauce.
Jason's like, hey, that's Sauce Gardner. That's my guy. So I'm excited about it.
Tulane.
Yeah.
Hey, on the lighter side, are you guys okay that we got Jason Taylor's kid in the house?
It's like, so true story. So on draft day, the New York Jets should text Mason Taylor. Yeah. And everybody knows, like, they were Jets fan, my rivalry with Zach Thomas throughout the years that we played together. And because Parcells told me in 98, we have our game plan meeting. Parcells does the breakdown and the scouting reports. And the last thing in that meeting in 98 was, Mawai, if you don't block 54, we're never going to win this game. And it became a personal challenge to me. So fast forward, I'm at my Hall of Fame, and I knew it's like sometimes you just got to pay dudes the honor they deserve. Right. And the one guy that I had to get the most up for was Zach Thomas. And not because, for any other reason, that I was never going to let Parcells prove me wrong, And so it became that thing for me, and it became a rivalry. And everybody in New York and everybody in New Miami knew that it was a Kevin Mawai, Zach Thomas rivalry. And so we drafted, and Zach eventually gets in the Hall of Fame. And so now we stay in touch with one another. And Zach texts me on draft day. He goes, I guess I'm going to have to be a Jets fan now because my nephew's going to play. I said, yeah. I said, you can go to the Jets game. I'll let you wear my jersey. but yeah, what I think is hilarious because, Jason and Jason Taylor, they battled it out, man. They had some wars out there. And for now to have Jason Taylor's son in the same house, it's going to add, you'll have nice stories to tell or put on TV or whatever when the time comes.
Jets game day is better together. Bring a group of 6 or more to MetLife Stadium and take advantage of preferred pricing, access to on-field experiences, and more. To book, visit nyjets.com/groups or call 973-549-4590. Other takeaways today, the secondary is going to be a spicy unit. You got Sauce.
Yeah.
Brandon Stevens comes over in free agency. Andre Sisco's the guy who came over in free agency as well. Very rangy, heady ball player. Tony Adams was making plays. They're high on Malachi Moore, rookie as well. I like the way that he's implementing. You mentioned Steve Wilkes before. These guys are going to be aggressive defensively.
They're that's why, and that's when I saw Steve, I was like, oh man. So Aaron has brought in a like-minded coordinator on that side of the ball, that's attacking. I don't want to call it gambling, but they put faith in their players to make a play, and that's what you want. Like, everything ain't going to be safe and analytically, this play is going to work. Sometimes it's like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And those guys, I like what I see. It's nice.
It's a mindset, right? Because, Gerald, one thing that AG has talked about is that play style over playbook.
Oh, yeah. That goes without saying. You have to be, like I said, mentally tough. You have to play a certain way if you want to be successful. You just can't go out there and run plays. You have to run them with attitude, run them with
swagger,
run them with perfection, and exactly, run them with a little swagger about yourself. But I'm backing him up when he says that. So, hey, I could agree with that.
Speaking of attitude and swagger, you were telling the media out there that Aaron Glenn with this.
Well, we were talking about this earlier.
Okay, so let's break this down. Let's break down Aaron Glenn, the uniform.
Kevin.
Tell us what really happened.
So you have the uniform binds, right? Yeah. Your shirt's got to be tucked. Now they got the waistband.
It was his socks.
But his socks, he would never wear his socks right.
So he gets fined every game.
So he gets fined every game. It's a $5,000 fine if your socks aren't on right. Like, by rule, you're supposed to have half.
That was 25 years ago. Yeah. Who knows what it is?
But half white, and then the rest up has to be your brand team color or whatever, unless it was like a special uniform day or whatever. He never had any green showing. It was all white or all green all the time. It was never like half and half.
He was like the first, I think, DB. Yeah. They all do it now, but I think AG might have been like the first guy to get on that trend.
The trendsetter.
Yeah, it's like, it's $5,000. And then it exponentially increases every time you get fined. And I was a player rep for our team. So like I knew every year you get a list of all the guys that got fined in the league and how much money they got fined. He was one of the tops on our team. It was all it wasn't like late hits. It was all
nothing dirty.
Uniform
all
violations. It was all uniform violations. It was all socks.
Yeah. So that's the back in the day, 16 games, so that's $80,000.
Whatever. I don't know how much he got, but I know he was the most highly fined guy on our team because he wouldn't wear socks.
He wanted that swagger.
But the craziest thing is like, we could do everything right, do the details. Bro, so it's like, for the longest time, Merton Hanks was the uniform violation guy.
Yeah,
well, he wore the worst uniform everywhere, out of all of them.
Right.
And so Jason's, so in his desire to have DB swag, which nobody even knew what the word swag was back in the day.
Sure.
DB swag, the socks were all wrong. He had 25 wristbands up his arm and all that kind of stuff. But,
cut his jersey.
but you know what?
Shirt hanging
The dude could ball out, though. So you can have swag if you can back it up.
How do you think Aaron would treat a player on this team who was getting those fines every week?
Well, as a head coach, you don't care about uniform fines. It's not your problem. It doesn't hurt the team. It's the holding penalties.
Now personal fouls and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what hurt the team.
So did you guys flash back today as far as practices are concerned? Now, training camp was much different when you guys.
This was nothing like what we done.
Yeah, nothing.
No.
We'd be 2.5-hour practice.
So here's the story.
We'd be about coming back for the second practice.
So I fly in at 5:30 last night, going to the hotel right down the road. It's 7:30. I'm like, these boys are going to be in meetings until 10 o'clock tonight. I'm looking out my window, Dudes are down by the pool. It's 7:45. One dude's eating a pizza. Another guy's watching video. I'm like, is this training camp or Club Med? And so we were talking. I was like, man, we had two. Parcells will tell you, we come in 3 weeks or 2 days.
Yeah.
Like full pad of 2 days, no breaks.
Both practices.
At both practices, and then you come back and you have meetings, dinners, meetings from 7 to 9:30. Parcells will tell you there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And if you think that light's there, that's just a train coming right back at you. And so these guys, this is Club Med, man. But this is the most hitting I've ever seen in NFL practice I've been to in the most recent time. And they were popping pads, and it was competitive.
Well, I saw, I think Rich Samini said something a couple days ago I was watching online, and he said that they actually tackled live in practice last week. He said this is the first time he's seen it in like the last 10 or 12 years since he's been covering
practice.
Well,
covering
they
Jets
had
camp.
one-on-one tackling drills out there again today.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because Aaron Glenn continues to emphasize space. Like he wants his playmakers to be able to make some plays and get out there in the open field. But he's going to demand, you guys know this, that the defense is an elite tackling unit.
Right. Well, one thing I will say, didn't Detroit get fined last year or a couple years ago for hitting? They were
Excessive hitting at practice
Yeah,
or something like that.
they got fined because they kept
pushing the
Pushing
envelope.
pushing the envelope. Now,
Yeah.
I will say this. Again, Aaron comes from that school like okay, we all play for Bill. Bill, I can remember it was well into the season, and we're hitting on a Friday.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right, and he
Whole
said,
life.
and he would tell you, I know when to let up off you guys. It's Friday evening.
That sounds just like him.
It's Friday evening.
Well, we're getting on the bus tomorrow. We're going full go line scrimmage
relax
on
them
Friday morning.
But were there times when you hated him? You know?
When we what?
I think you know what you hated. Sometimes you hated
the practice.
You hated the schedule.
Right.
You
Yeah.
hated the idea that you got to put pads on again in 12 hours from now or whatever, 8 hours or whatever. But you never hated Bill because you bought in. So you just know.
Well, you did it because
he's winning.
Yeah,
you
did it
really
because
win.
that's
It
what-
works. It works, and it makes you tougher as the
Mentally
season
tough,
season goes on. It makes you mentally tough.
I just think the most impressive thing here is that you can tell that the players have completely bought in from the get with Aaron. And I just wanted to end here. How much did it resonate with you guys when he's up at the podium last week and saying, it hit me, man. I'm out there on the field and I hear the Jets chant and I'm looking up there and I'm seeing people who rooted for me when I was a player. This is decades ago. And you can see the emotion, the tears in his eyes. How much does that resonate with you guys?
Well, he's got. I mean, he's got the faith of the Jet Nation to restore, some relevancy. And hey, we want to do something from 1969, right? So when he's saying he's felt that, that's what he's feeling. You know what I mean? We saw him walking in when we was driving in this morning. I rode with Cascade, and he was going on his walk.
Yeah.
I mean. And I know Aaron, he come to my house with our kids, and he's focused.
Yeah, we saw the same thing on our bus.
Focused. And then and it's like, hey, all right, I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a different, he's ready to do something big.
Yeah, and then for me, it's just seeing a guy that was a locker room guy, the locker room mate, to ascend to where he's at now, and it wasn't because. He didn't get his foot in the door because of family ties or anything like that. He asked to get in. He started as a scout and went through the whole process. And I understand how he could say, because people cheered for him. I mean, there's 24. Was he 24? What number was AG?
31.
31. He was 31, and there's still people wearing his jersey, and then come out there and have those same people be the ones cheering him on as a head coach. Man, it's got to be something. It's got to be something special. And I know how I feel when I come back to New York and people still recognize me and tell me welcome home. And I haven't been in New York in 8 years. So imagine what he feels is exponentially greater than what we feel as former players who played 8 years and 8 years with the team. For him, it's coming back home, and it's coming to lead your team. It'd be akin to him going to Texas A&M, being a head coach, or me going to LSU, or Jason going to Cincinnati, or any of us going, Tulane, whatever, West Virginia. if I step into my hometown and become the head coach there, it's something different. And it means something special to you, the person, and to everybody else. And for Jason, for Aaron, he's got to know that all his teammates are behind him on this one, because we all feel the same about this organization.
Want it to win.
We want him to win. We want the organization to win, and we want Aaron Glenn to be the guy to do it.
It certainly means more. Guys, welcome back. Welcome home. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks,
you.
man.
Thanks for your
Thanks,
time.
Eric.
Thank you.
Always very cool catching up with a number of Jets legends. They're pumped that Aaron Glenn is the head coach of the Green and White. Training camp rolling on here. So look for us soon, because we're going to give you an update on all things happening with the current team.